I've always had an interest in illusions, optical illusions, paradoxes, visual playfulness, you might say. As a photographer, I just always was looking for ways to make things look different.
Many photographers would create the images that you've just seen by photographing each element separately and then sending the individual pieces to the lab for photocompositing. Walter Wick is a photographer who prefers to remain in total control of the image through each step, so his special effects photography is done completely in camera. Wick has parlayed his photographic skills and interest in tinkering with reality into covers for such publications as Newsweek, Fortune, and Psychology Today. This illusion, called the paradoxical box, was created for the cover of Games magazine.
It's my 16th cover for Games magazine. Many of the covers which I have done for Games are collaborations with the art director or editors at Games, and some of them are designs of my own, and this is an example of that. It's actually a puzzle as well as a photograph, and there are simple rules which are printed alongside of the cover of the magazine, and you can solve it using logic. To me, it's model building is part of photography because I'm inclined to like to work with my hands and make things. It's how I got into this type of photography to begin with. I was inspired by some of the old toys that I found in a flea market, really. An old wooden top that had these kind of colors that are on the balls that I put on. And the kind of stripes and the texture, the shininess and everything was copied really after these old toys.
Wick also built the box itself, and to assemble the pieces, he used armature wire and a hot melt glue gun. Armature wire is a sculptor's material that comes in many weights, is very pliable, yet very strong. Its composition allows for very little vibration, and that's an important quality in a shot like this one. Hot melt glue is a plastic-like substance that comes in handy for photographic applications. The electric gun melts the stick of glue, resulting in a liquid adhesive that is strong, sticks well to most materials, and yet is easy to remove.
When it came to mounting the box and the balls to the glass, I chose to use plexiglass instead of regular glass because I could drill a hole through the back of it, put the armature wire through that, and securely fasten this box to the glass. And I wouldn't have to worry about the glue popping off.
Although some of the armature wire is still visible at this stage of the photograph, some final adjustments will result in a completely transparent illusion. Once this is done, Wick turns his attention to creating the background for the shot.
I made a device which makes creating the color sky I want, or the combination of colors, the gradation from light to dark within those colors, very convenient. It's a box, a large box that holds a glass frame onto which these color gels can be taped, and a light is placed behind that box, and it simply projects the color onto the plexiglass surface. The exposure for this image is two steps. One is to photograph the objects themselves, which we would call the foreground light. The second step would be to photograph the background.
Reflections are the reason that Wick needs two exposures. Once the box and the balls are lit, they cast reflections on the plexiglass, ruining the illusion. To combat the reflections, Wick and his assistant drape the plexiglass with black velvet and mat board. Since the most minute camera shift between exposures will ruin the finished shot, Wick is very careful not to jar the camera. Once the front exposure is made, the black material is removed, revealing the background. This is where the vibration damping qualities of the armature wire become important to the shot. Any change of position here will affect the resulting photo as much as camera movement. The final step, darken the entire studio and make the background exposure. If all goes well, there will be no evidence of the exposure trickery. It may seem like a complicated way to make the shot, but it's really the most effective method.
You might think that you could eliminate reflections with a polarizing filter. It's not possible with a setup like this because you have to be at a 45-degree angle to the glass in order for a polarizing filter to work in eliminating reflections. And it would be very difficult to build and construct and set the setup with the glass at a 45-degree angle to the camera.